Everyone, and welcome back to another book review. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Remarried Empress Volume 5. This is a collection that is originally a webcomic or a webtoon that has now been published into a series. I, on Volume 5 already, have been reading the series for a while and I have been really enjoying it. So I'm going to recap the series thus far and then talk about Volume 5, what happened in it, and my thoughts about the series. So let's start with a recap. The series revolves around a married emperor and empress. The emperor is Sovieshu, the empress is Navier, and they have a good marriage, but a marriage of political convenience and to best rule their realm. Things start to go south in the beginning of the series when Sovieshu takes a mistress. Now this is not unheard of, and Navier kind of understands that this is something that will likely happen in her lifetime because they don't necessarily have a marriage of love. There's also this expectation that she can quietly take someone on the side too, but ultimately the emperor and the empress are supposed to appear united and together in public as the leaders of their nation. So the mistress should not be overshadowing or doing anything for the empress, the mistress to the empress, and the empress needs to keep everything on her side quiet as well for the good of the realm. Well, Sovieshu falls in love with a woman of low-born status because they are, of course, emperors and empresses, they're noble, named Rashta, and he takes Rashta to the palace to be his mistress. And things immediately start going wrong. Rashta turns out to be quite cruel and cunning. She's very interested in undercutting the empress's position and securing her own position, and this is because previously she was a slave that she has escaped from that situation. So she is very desperate to maintain her control, and she is willing to do anything to maintain that control, which I agree that's a very desperate situation to come from, but it doesn't warrant you being cruel to people around you, especially to people who are not cruel to you. I think another big driver of the situation is Sovieshu, who as the emperor is not acting wise. He is of course within his right to have a mistress. That is something that's understood, likely to happen, but he needs to make sure that he's not jeopardizing the good of the realm or his relationship with the empress, who has been specially raised and educated to help with economic, diplomatic, realm controlling activities in favor of his mistress. So he is starting to kind of lean very heavily towards Rashta, who doesn't have the training necessary and is also neglecting this relationship with his empress. But Navier has something going on the side too, a little bit. He starts to exchange letters with a diplomatic guest who has since in the series gone back to his home country to become the king, the leader of his country, named Henry. I think I'm pronouncing it Henry. We're just saying it like that. And Sovieshu is quite angry about the fact that she hasn't even taken him as any sort of lover. She is just exchanging letters and having pleasant conversations with the clear implication that there is some sort of feeling there. And Sovieshu is quite, not cruel, but unhappy by this situation, which is a very much do as I say, not as I do situation, because there's an understanding that in this realm, both emperor and empress can have their own little piece of passion on the side, if we will, but come together to be a united front in front of everyone else. Sovieshu is really the one deviating from the bargain. He's not really controlling Rashta's behavior, which is quite cruel and very uncalled for in many situations, as well as Sovieshu himself becoming quite cold and cruel and unfair. I would say unfair is probably the best word to describe Sovieshu's treatment of his wife, Navier. So at the beginning of Volume 5, a lot of people have gathered secrets. Everyone is collecting information. Information is the currency of power, I guess, in a court. I would suspect that to be true. So Navier knows about Rashta's past. Rashta and the fact that she has had a child previously with her owner's son has come to light, and the fact that the child is still living and the family is taking care, her original owners are taking care of it, including Rashta's previous lover, I guess, which is the son. There is an understanding when I read this book, it doesn't seem to be some sort of like coercion. It seems like Rashta and the son of the family genuinely did like each other. But Rashta, of course, was also in a little bit of a difficult situation, not really at the same power level. And I think that when there's a difference in power between individuals, it can be quite, questions can be raised. We'll leave it at that. But as people collect these secrets and information, and people are trying to figure out in the court who has information on who has dirt on who's blackmailing who, there's another complication in the fact that Rashta has gotten pregnant, which is the Emperor Sovyeshu's first child, as Navier has not gotten pregnant yet. Now, they're not like in their 60s or 70s, but they've been married for a while now, and Navier has not gotten pregnant. So Sovyeshu has come to the decision, or the idea, that Navier is incapable of getting pregnant. She's infertile. And this might be a logical conclusion, because now that he has a mistress and gotten her pregnant, it clearly is not him. Well, hopefully. We don't really know what Rashta's been up to. But Sovyeshu wants to make sure that he has a legitimate heir. And if his wife is not having a kid, then he needs to make sure that this child has a shot at becoming an heir, should he not. Now, there is a line of succession, and there is someone else in the line for the throne, and that comes out in volume 5. But he wants to ensure that maybe his actual child will inherit the throne, so he needs to legitimize the child. So he devises this plan where he is going to divorce Navier, but his idea is do it temporarily. So he's going to divorce Navier, and he's going to make Rashta the empress. But Rashta knows that she's not permanently going to be the empress. She is just going to be the empress for long enough to give birth to the child while she's empress, thereby legitimizing the child. And then he being Sovyeshu, will take Navier back. That is his grand plan. I don't know what Sovyeshu is thinking. I don't know if he's just ignorant, but he's banking on the fact that Navier has ambition and knows that she has certain limits and is going to be willing to do anything to keep the crown of empress for herself. But Sovyeshu maybe doesn't realize that he might lose Navier altogether, because Navier is starting to have other prospects. Henry, which is the prince that she's been communicating with, who's now been raised to the leader of his kingdom, is looking for a wife, and they have interest in one another. So if Navier is divorced from Sovyeshu, then she has another prospect she can go to. She has another place where she can have a crown, she can have power, she has the ability to rule, she actually has feelings for this individual, and there's a diplomatic tie with the kingdom that she would like to start that she cannot due to her husband's due to certain political situations in her current realm that happened in previous volumes, that she could do with Henry. So Navier is starting to have prospects, and I think Sovyeshu is gambling on two big things. One, that Navier is going to stay after the divorce or wait around and is going to come back when called to be empress again and is going to be completely okay with this situation. And two, he's kind of gambling that Navier is actually infertile. I'm not entirely sure. There seems to be enough seeds of doubt sown within, and of course, especially in something like this, you can't really know. You're just kind of you're kind of not implying, but you're looking at all the evidence and thinking, okay, maybe you can't have a child because of what's happened, but you don't actually know that. So he's banking on, one, the fact that Navier has no other prospects and will wait around to regain her crown, and also that she's going to have little enough pride to do that. She's not going to have so much pride that she's willing to give it all up. But he's also gambling on the fact that his wife truly is infertile and this is his only chance to have a son. I think Sovyeshu is making a big mistake. It just does not seem like a good calculated mistake. You definitely get the sense that Navier is quite good at looking at a situation and calculating like the risks and the odds and making a good decision. And I don't know if Sovyeshu is as good as that, which makes sense if they are a ruling pair, that they can complement each other's strengths. But Sovyeshu is gambling, and I believe Sovyeshu is going to lose. Now, the divorce aspect that comes up in this book is not actually surprising. If you read volume 1, like the first scene is Sovyeshu requesting a divorce, and at the end of volume 5, he is putting in a letter to request a divorce with the like high priest, high mage, or whatever, because he wants to speed things along. And this is not surprising to the reader because we've seen this in volume 1, but it's going to be interesting to see what plays from here, because the divorce is the line that we knew about. So at the beginning of the series, we started here in the timeline, and then we jumped back, and now we've been working our way towards the initiation of the divorce. But everything post that is now things that we know. So we're working up to that point that we know nothing further about. And I think that's where the series, I don't want to say going to get good because it's been good thus far, but I think volume 5 is truly a setup for volume 6 and the information that comes in volume 6 and the drama that comes in volume 6. So I'm excited to keep reading this series. Hopefully, if volume 6 is not out already, it will be out soon so I can get it and read it. If you have been reading the series, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.